Alright, next step is to replace the Orifice Tube and the accumulator dryer. Every vehicle, the Orifice Tube is going to be in a little bit different location. Some vehicles aren't going to have it. Some are going to have an expansion valve. This one, the tube is located right inside this pipe. It's the junction from where the line runs from the condenser to the evaporator. These, on the Ford ones, it's called a quick disconnect fitting. You can see it swivels, and it actually disconnects right here where this little thing is. This is just a safety clip to keep it from coming apart. That just pulls right off. Once that's off, just set it aside. And you're going to need these specialty, they're called quick disconnect tools. You can buy these at any local parts store. They're pretty readily available. This one in particular needs the blue one. The way it works, you look inside here, it's spring loaded, so it's going to try to shut on me. But this little piece right here slips inside. So you cover the line and you pull it up, and this thing slips inside there and it releases the lock. So I'll show you how that works. What you do is you put it over the line like that, and then you just kind of twist it and pull it forward until it stops. Once it stops, you grab the line itself and it just pulls apart. And you can take the tool off and the line comes off. Now inside that tube on the evaporator side is the Orifice Tube, which, if you're lucky, it'll come out easily like this one is. If it's giving you a hard time, you can either blow compressed air backwards through the evaporator, or they do make specialty tools to remove the Orifice Tube. If you have to, go find one of those at any automotive tool supply shop. So this here is the old Orifice Tube. You can see here it's all gummed up and it's got a bunch of debris on it, and that's why you always want to change this. It's kind of like a filter in the air conditioning system. And inside there's a little tiny hole inside this pipe here that lets the refrigerant flow through, and that's what controls the flow of refrigerant to the evaporator. Here we have the new Orifice Tube. Again, the kit from autopartsdirectu.com comes with a brand new one. You can see how clean it is. It comes with the new O-rings already installed. If need be, you can put some lubricant. Only use oil from, only use refrigerant oil on that. Don't put any other kind of lubricant on there. This one has plenty of it already on the line, so we're just going to slide it back in there. All right, next thing we need to do, we got the Orifice Tube out, and before we put that in, we got to flush the AC system. That's a very critical step, because if the compressors come apart, there's going to be little pieces of debris all throughout the system, and you have to get that out, otherwise you'll destroy your new compressor. Also, your warranty depends on it. Take the accumulator off, and we still got all the lines disconnected. If you recall, I retook the fitting off the compressor, and we'll show you how to do a thorough flush here in a second. The accumulator has another quick disconnect fitting here. Same thing as the other one. This safety clip just pops off, and then you find the appropriate quick disconnect tool. On this one, it's going to be the white one. Slide it over, pull it back. And then it separates. Disconnect the electrical plug here for the low pressure cycling switch. Then the accumulator pulls out. Now we're going to have to reuse this cycling switch, so make sure you don't damage that. I'm going to set that aside for now because we're replacing that anyway. Okay, now we have all the lines open. We have this line, which comes from the condenser to the Orifice Tube, which goes to the evaporator. This line comes out of the evaporator and goes back eventually towards the compressor. Well, I'm sorry, it goes to the accumulator and then to the compressor. This line comes from the accumulator to the compressor. And then these lines over here. The small one goes to the condenser. The big one is the other end of this one that goes to the accumulator. So what we're going to do is shoot some air through there. You don't want to shoot air and flush through the compressor itself, but all the other components it's okay. So once you have it all apart, it's okay to just blast air through it. First thing we're going to do is shoot just some plain air. We've got a compressor here, and I got my little air nozzle. We're going to shoot some air through it, and then if there's any loose debris, it'll shoot it out of the hose. So I'm going to start with this small line that runs to the condenser, and I'm going to shoot some air. You can hear it coming out the other end. All right, once you have some air through there, then we'll want to move up to the evaporator. We can go right through here and go backwards. Now you're going to see stuff come out of here, which is the other end of the evaporator. And we'll hit this one other line, which is just a short little line, but it runs just right over to that other manifold hose. So now that we have air through it, we're going to want to get our flush solvent. And our flush solvent here, which you can get just about anywhere. And we're going to start with the condenser. The condenser is the most important one to flush because that's where the refrigerant, after it leaves the compressor, goes directly into the condenser. So if the compressor is leaving little chunks, they're going to end up in the condenser usually. So I'm going to go backwards from the normal flow. I'm going to start in this fitting here. Just going to put that down here, and then squirt a pretty good amount of solvent in here. We're going to let that sit for about 10 minutes or so. So I'll just prop that there, just let it sit and work. Meanwhile, I'll squirt some into the evaporator here. And then a little bit more into this line. You know, that's a real short line, so I'll just do a little bit. Same time, I'll put some on this end of the condenser because it's absolutely critical that the condenser gets flushed good. Alright, now we'll just let it sit for about 10 minutes and we'll come back and blast some more shop air through it to get all that solvent out of there. Alright, our solvent has been sitting for about 10 minutes, so now our next step is to get the solvent back out of the system. To do that, we just kind of do like we did before. We blast air through the evaporator and through the condenser. Now you want to try to catch the solvent, so I got a big wad of paper towels here. You don't want it going all over the ground, so I got a big wad of paper towels here which I'm going to use to catch the solvent. I'm going to start with the condenser. Put my air fitting there, and I'm going to put my paper towels over this end. You want to be careful because this will make a mess. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing with the evaporator. I got my wad of paper towels over the outlet of it. Alright, captured all that solvent and that oil. Alright, now we got the system completely flushed. I ran one last little bit through that one line, and so now we have a fully clean AC system ready to put back together. We're going to start by once again reattaching this manifold hose. Make sure my O-rings are still on there, which they are. Line that up, get that bolt in there, and go ahead and tighten that down again. While we got these apart, you want to change all these O-rings. Every O-ring you see exposed, you want to put a new one on. Luckily, this kit from AutoPartsDirectToYou.com comes with brand new O-rings for everything. So what we'll do, this one just slides right off. For these other ones, you want to use a pick or a little tiny screwdriver. Pick works great. Just slide it under there, and it peels right off. This kit's going to have a whole bunch of excess O-rings, so you want to make sure you match up the right ones. You see a whole bunch in there. So what I'm going to do is just dump them out and match them up one at a time.